Following the most recent F1 race, the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne, Red Bull team principal Christian Horner said that Carlos Sainz appears to be Red Bull's nemesis, as he is the only driver that's beaten Red Bull in the last 2 years. Remarkably, Sainz is the only non-Red Bull driver to have won a race in the past 26 Grand Prix, with a win in Singapore last year and at the Albert Park circuit last weekend. Despite these recent successes, Carlos is currently without a seat on the grid for next year, but it now looks like he could be an option for Red Bull. When asked if Sainz was an option for a Red Bull seat in 2025, Horner said that based on a performance like his Melbourne win, you couldn't rule any possibility out. He also referred to the Spaniard as a very fast, unemployed driver. So just how likely is it that Sainz could end up at Red Bull? Well, that is what we are going to look at today. Red Bull are now in their 4th season of having a driver lineup composed of clear number 1 driver Max Verstappen and the steady number 2 Sergio Perez. Verstappen is currently contracted to the team until the end of the 2028 season, after signing a bumper contract in the summer of 2022, while Perez's deal is set to expire at the end of this season. Therefore, Perez's seat seems like the obvious potential opening for Sainz. But the Mexican driver has his future in his own hands, and could prove to Horner and the rest of the Red Bull management that it's worth extending his time with the team into a 5th season. In Melbourne, Horner said that he and the team were in no desperate rush to make a decision around their driver lineup, giving Perez all-important time to put in impressive performances. Horner also added that Checo has had a great start in the season, suggesting that his current performance level could be enough. However, if Red Bull's dominance were to be challenged, they could see Sainz as a better option than Perez. And the team are clearly not fully committed to Checo, with him being on a short-term contract. As the 3-time back-to-back-to-back world champion, many would assume that Verstappen's future with Red Bull would be secure, especially as it looks like he's going to easily win his 4th title this year. But there have been some whispers that Max could make a shocking move to Mercedes for next season, as his relationship with some members of the Red Bull management have been damaged due to the off-track Christian Horner saga. Verstappen's father, Jos, has had a well-publicised falling out with Horner, whilst Helmut Marko, whom Max is very loyal to, has had his future with the team put in jeopardy. Verstappen has stated that he would follow Marko out of the team if the Austrian was to be dismissed. So whilst unlikely, both seats at Red Bull could be available next season, with Toto Wolff and the Mercedes team expressing their interest in Max if he were to become available. That huge move could play into Sainz's hand by forcing Red Bull to make a driver change. Sainz does also have a history with Red Bull, having joined their junior team back in 2010, the same year in which he made his single-seater race debut. Carlos was supported by Red Bull throughout his junior career and tested both Red Bull and Toro Rosso F1 cars before making the step up to the series. Sainz joined Red Bull-backed Toro Rosso in 2015, where he spent 2015, 2016 and the majority of 2017, before making a move to Renault on loan from Red Bull. Carlos raced for Renault in 2018, still on loan from Red Bull, but was released by Red Bull at the end of the season, after they chose Pierre Gasly rather than him to fill a vacant seat at the top team. Therefore, it is clear that Sainz has a history with the team and is maybe destined to drive for Red Bull one day, having been affiliated with them for 9 years but never being given the call-up. However, if a seat were to become available at Red Bull, they could seek to promote from within and look at their current pool of drivers, including those currently at their sister team. Yuki Tsunoda has made an impressive start to the season for RB, outqualifying Daniel Ricciardo at the 3 rounds so far, and scoring an impressive 7th place finish in Australia. Yuki is now in his 4th year in F1 but has never looked like a serious option for Red Bull. But if he continues to impress and outperform Ricciardo, he may become harder to ignore. Whilst many consider him to be outperforming Daniel at the moment, it is undeniable that he's rawer than Red Bull would like. Ricciardo, on the other hand, has race-winning experience with Red Bull, but his performance levels seem to have dropped, with there now being rumours about him potentially losing his seat before the end of the season. If Ricciardo was to be dropped, Liam Lawson would take his place, another driver who Red Bull are likely to consider, given his impressive substitution work last season. Whilst Red Bull do have options within their program, Sainz is considered by many to be a better option than any of the RB drivers or reserves. Therefore, Carlos is very likely to be the driver that Red Bull and Horner will call on if they make a driver swap. That swap will occur if Perez's performance level is not satisfactory, or if the off-track saga continues to cause chaos and results in Verstappen leaving. Carlos could also be signed by Mercedes to take the seat left by Lewis Hamilton, who is taking the Spaniard seat at Ferrari. It does look like Sainz could still be on the grid with one of the big three teams next year. But if he isn't, he is also an option for the new Audi project, or even Aston Martin or Williams. Thanks for watching, leave a comment below letting us know where you think Sainz will end up.